Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are getting ready to be strong. Strong of body, strong of mind. Getting ready for whatever is coming. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to kick off today's class with a few sun salutations. We'll run through both the A and the B series. Find a comfortable standing stance with enough room to lunge, step back. Bring your hands to Prayer Mudra in front of your heart and take a moment to just gather yourself to get ready for today's practice. On a nice long inhale, float your hands overhead, bump your hips slightly forward and take a standing back bend. On the exhale, fold forward, bending the knees as much as you need to connect to the floor. And then step your right leg back, step your left leg back, finding a lunge line. Step it back into a plank, nice and strong through the whole body. Relax the knees, the shins, and the feet to the floor. And then work a modified chaturanga by bending the elbows, coming down into the belly with control. Then start to roll your chest off the floor, leading up into a baby cobra, bottom ribs still connected to the mat. And see if you can transition into a full up dog, pushing onto the palms and the tops of your feet. Pause here before tucking the toes under, finding your way into a walking down dog, and start to warm up the back chain of your legs. Step up the right leg and then the left, trying to stack underneath the hips as best you can. Ragdoll style, lean with the back of your ribs. Restack, realign, come back to your start position. Big breath in, take a standing back bend. Exhale to fold forward. Step your left leg back and then your right. Find your plank. Relax your knees, your shins and your feet. Work your modified chaturanga to peel down to the mat. Tapping maybe your forehead before you lead up into a cobra. Begin to transition into an up dog. And then find your down dog and take it for a walk. Keep your knees tracking forward as you walk up your dog. Step up the left leg and then the right. Ragdoll style, peel back up to your start position, hands to heart center. Last full round, take a big back bend. Fold it forward. Step back right and then left, find your plank. Chaturanga down. Find your way into a cobra. Begin to transition into an up dog. Then find your down dog frame. Maybe just one or two pedals this time before you try to hold the dog and just enjoy the stretch front and back chain. Step it up one leg at a time. Ragdoll, lead with the back of your ribs to find your original standing position. Big breath in, take a back bend. Exhale to fold forward. Step back the left leg and then the right as we complete our last round. Chaturanga down, find your way onto the belly, find your cobra, lead into your up dog, transition to your down dog, one or two pedals, and then hold still, forging a nice almost triangular frame between the arms and the legs. Step up the left leg and then the right, ragdoll it up, hands to heart center as we transition into the B series. Keep your legs in parallel. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, sit back into a chair, Utkatasana. Weight into your bum and your heels. Make sure the knees are not tracking forward. Then relax your hands to the floor as you come into a forward fold. Maybe the back chain of the legs is nice and warm and you can straighten up nicely. Then take a small step back with the right leg coming into a little pyramid frame or 10 toes looking to the front of the mat. Hands on the mat or maybe on your shin or maybe just resting on your waist if the floor is not accessible to you yet. And then take a wider lunge step back as you bend the lead leg. Maybe you want to take a few sways forwards and backwards and just open up a little bit through the groin, getting ready for your standing poses to come. Then step it back into plank. Full chaturanga this time, or use the knees if you need them. Bend the elbows, hug them in, and then try to hover your body off the floor, driving your weight forward into your wrists as you bleed up into an up dog and then transition into a down dog hold. Soften the right knee, step it up to the inside of the right hand, open up the back foot to 90 and windmill your arms open, coming into a warrior two stance. Hips should be nice and open. Reach for the wall in front of you, reach for the wall behind you, and stay strong. Then start to pivot on the back leg, tucking the toes under, dropping down lower through the hips as we come to a modified lunging warrior one. Then relax the hands either side of the lead leg and step it back into a plank. Full chaturanga if you can, or use your knees as you find your way into an up dog. And then bleed seamlessly into a down dog and pause. Maybe coming onto the tips of your fingers so that you can hop up, otherwise take a little step. Ground through your feet. Take a seat in your chair, float your hands overhead. Hands to heart center. Let's do the second side. Big breath in to prepare. Exhale to take a seat in your chair. Fold it forward. Try to look for that stretch of the back chain of your legs. Even out the weight on your feet. Small step back on the left to set up your pyramid. All 10 toes looking to the front of the mat. Really draw up the energy from your kneecap along the quad on both legs. Then take a full lunge step back. Maybe give me a little sway forwards and backwards. Ease your way into a plank. Chaturanga down. Find your way into an up dog. And then bleed into a down dog and pause. Try to anchor through those heels. Soften the left leg, step it up to the inside of the left hand, open up the back foot to 90, windmill your arms open, tap the wall behind you, tap the wall in front of you. Get ready, look for that strength. Then start to pivot on the back foot, start to drop down through the pelvis as you float the arms overhead. Really open up through that back hip flexor. Relax your hands to the mat and ease your way into a plank. Chaturanga down, find an up dog frame, and then transition it into a down dog frame. Step or hop to the front of the mat, landing softly on your feet. Ground through both feet as you sit back into your chair. Hands to heart center as we get ready for our last full round. Exhale to take a seat. Fold it forward. Take a little step back with the right, setting up your pyramid. Draw the energy up along your quads. Then take a bigger lunge step back, maybe holding still. Maybe you still need to sway. Ease back into a full plank. Chaturanga down using knees or no knees. Find your up dog frame. And then bleed it seamlessly into a down dog frame. Soften the right knee, step it up to the inside of the right hand, open up your back leg to 90, tap the wall behind you, tap the wall in front of you, set up your warrior, nice and strong. Then begin to pivot on the back leg, drop down a little bit lower through the pelvis as you frame your ears on either side in a lunging warrior one. Relax your hands to the floor and ease your way into a plank. Chaturanga down, use those knees if you need them. Find your up dog. And then transition it into a down dog. Step or hop to the front of your mat, trying to ground through both feet. Weight into your bum and your heels as you float your hands overhead in Utkatasana chair. Hands to heart center as we run through the sequence on the last side. Take an exhale as you find your way into chair. Fold it forward. Left leg takes a little scooch back, sitting up a pyramid. Pause here. Look for that strength up the tops of your legs. Then take a wider lunge step back, dropping down beautifully through the pelvis. Ease it back into a plank. Chaturanga down. Find an up dog. And then transition it into a down dog. Soften the left knee, step up the left leg to the inside of the left hand, drop your back leg at 90, open it up, tap the wall behind you, tap the wall in front of you as you set up your warrior two frame. Then drop down a little bit lower through the pelvis as you pivot on the back leg heel coming off the floor, setting up your low lunging warrior one. Relax your hands to the mat and step it back into a plank. Chaturanga down, find an up dog frame, and then bleed it into a down dog frame. Step or hop to the front of your mat, ground through your feet, and take a seat. Hands to heart center as we get ready to run through our primary sequence. From your standing position on the mat, you're going to come into a tabletop reach, keeping the legs as straight as you can or bending the knees if you need to. You're going to hinge forward, trying to forge a long tabletop line through your arms, your neck, and your back. Slightly shift the weight backwards and forwards on your feet and then try to find a midway point so it feels like you are equally balanced on both the front and the back of your feet. Then soften your knees as much as you need to step or hop back into a down dog. Find your dog, pause here for a moment, try to anchor through the feet as best you can, and then use this frame to get ready for some modified three-legged dogs, Tripada, Adho Mukha, Svanasana. Soften the right knee, kick up into a three-legged dog on the right, and then begin to play with it dynamically, thinking knee drawing in and then kicking back out. A few times you're going to draw the knee in and kick it behind you, trying to keep as even as you can through the shoulders and the hips. Then end in the knee tuck position and keep the leg bent as you start to trace a circular pattern through that leg, opening up the knee to the side of the room and coming back. Then change it up and move in the opposite direction. Staying strong in your three-legged dog. Then see if you can ease yourself into a one-legged plank, keeping your right leg hovering off the floor, giving me a strong brace into your foot. Transition into a full plank. Then relax to the knees, coming into a 4-point kneel. Slide the left arm out as far as it will go. Pause. Slide the right leg out as far as it will go. Pause. And then in unison, float the arm and the leg up into a tabletop frame and give me a long reach, trying to tap the wall in front of you and the wall behind you. Then maybe giving me an active brace into the back foot and trying to open up the foot and the arm to the side of the room in a 90-90-like fashion and hold strong as you can through the core. Come back to your original stretch, reaching for the wall in front and the wall behind. And then maybe morph it into a tiger, the Agra pose, by bending your floating back leg, reaching opposite hand to foot, squaring up through the shoulders and the hips, and taking a little dancer-like kick here, actively kicking the foot into your hand. Release both hands to the floor and step the right leg out to the outside of the right hand, flaring the foot out slightly at a 45 as you find a lean forward into a little open lizard line, Uttan Krishnasana. Maybe you want to pause here, knife edge that front foot and just hold here. If you need more opening through the hips, you can rotate your trunk to look towards your lead knee and just gently push the lead knee away. Either keeping that front foot grounded or holding it knife edge. Your choice. Use this lizard frame to ready your body for a deep squat. Reground your front foot, still keeping that slight 45 outstep, and try to replicate the line on the left. Maybe tucking the left toes under, bringing the knee up off the floor, taking a lizard step wide on the left, and then dropping down generously through the pelvis. Let's keep both hands on the floor today, but take it really wide so your fingertips are on the outer edge of the mat, and then just use your triceps Just subtly push the knees open. Looking for stillness here. From here, your deep squat line, Manasana, you're going to hop or step back into your down dog frame. So maybe placing both hands on the floor, stepping or hopping back into your down dog frame. Hold your frame. Get an awesome stretch into both the arms and the legs, allowing for a little bit of inversion of the blood in your head as you find Adho Mukha Svanasana. Use this down dog frame to ready yourself for some play in a three-legged dog on the left. Soften the left knee without popping and rotating through the hip. Kick up the leg behind you into a three-legged dog. Then start to play with that leg, thinking knee tucking in and kicking back out. The whole time keeping level as you can through the shoulders and the hips. Give yourself maybe 4 or 5 dynamic kicks and knee draws. You're going to end in the knee draw position and start to circle the leg up, keeping the bend in the knee. Maybe 4 or 5 traces in one direction, and then changing it up and circling in the opposite direction. Then kick the leg up behind you, come back into your three-legged dog, and transition by wiggling the back foot away from you into a one-legged plank. Pause, looking for strength. Then relax into the full expression of plank, Kumbhakasana. Both knees coming to the floor and taking a little rest. Slide the right arm out as far as it will go, hold. Slide the left leg out as far as it will go, hold. Then in unison, float the arm and the leg up, tapping the wall in front and the wall behind. Look for that long stretch through the body on the oblique. Then actively brace into the back foot and take your floating limbs out to the side of the room, 90-90 fashion, and hold. Bleed your way back to center, soften out through that back foot. See if you can find your way into tiger by bending that floating back leg. Reach opposite hand to foot, square up through the shoulders and the hips, and then actively kick that foot into your hand. Think of almost making a cow-like frame through the back, maybe kicking up towards the sky as you actively kick that foot into your hand. Then ground both hands. Take a lizard step out on the left, angling that back foot, the front foot slightly out at 45. Both hands grounding underneath your shoulders. Stay here. Maybe you'd like to knife edge that front foot. Maybe you'd like to push the leg away from you, trying to get more opening into the groin area, readying yourself for the deep squat, Malasana. When you're ready, round your front foot, tuck your back toe under, bring the knee up off the floor, take a lizard step out on the right, drop down to pelvis becoming nice and heavy. We're taking the hands nice and wide on the mat today, actively using our triceps to open up through the whole pelvis. From here, we're going to find our way back into a standing frame. Maybe placing your hands on the mat, heel toeing your feet in, till they're squaring up underneath your hips. Or you can bring it in narrower if you like, and come into a narrow forward fold with the big toes and the ankles touching, readying your body to peel back up, ragdoll style. We're going to find a standing hand to big toe D position. So just using your core strength and pretending that you're pulling on a little piece of string through the belly button, you're going to start to float the right leg out in front of you, giving me an active brace into the foot, and just maybe floating it underneath your hip line if you can. Even if the movement is small and you can only raise it to just hovering off the floor, play where you're comfortable. Then think of bending that knee, maybe hugging the knee in towards your chest, and then preparing for a figure four seat in chair. Reaching for the right foot. Start to bend the left leg and rest the right foot on the left thigh as you sit down into a chair. Maybe stacking your forearms one on top of the other and just trying to find a little balance here. Drop right nice and low through the pelvis. Then see if you can transition from this seated figure four into a half lotus tree. So as you bleed up, reach for the foot on that top leg and tuck the heel in closer towards the opposite hip. Maybe just relaxing the arms at your side and giving yourself a little micro bend in your grounding leg so that you can keep the foot from slipping out of the half lotus position. Your grounding leg's going to speak to you. See if you can unbind and take a big warrior one-like step to the back of the room. So angling in that back foot slightly at 45. Raise both arms overhead and maybe wiggle walk your front foot out and start to drop a little bit lower through the pelvis as you sit up, Virabhadrasana 1. Then holding this warrior one frame, we're going to use it to ready ourselves for a pyramid. Start to straighten up the lead leg. Drop down to the floor, and as your hands connect to the floor, try to change the angle on the back leg. Pivot the foot in. You can take a little step forward if you need to, preferably trying to keep both feet on the mat, or you can bring that back heel off the mat if you find that grounding isn't happening. Maybe you need to sway the weight back and forth to get both legs to relax into the position. So don't be afraid to experiment a little bit and see what you need to do to ready your body to hold that intense pyramid-like stretch. Both legs straight, all 10 toes looking to the front of the mat. Hands grounded if you can, either on the floor or on your lead shin or maybe on your hips. Then opening up the hands a little bit wider, you're going to step the back leg up. You're going to cross it over the front foot, keeping both sets of hands connected to the mat if you can, or maybe both hands on your hips, or maybe you're using a little block on the floor in front of you, and you're going to hold that forward fold. Give yourself a couple of moments here. Try to even out the weight on your feet. Subtly shift the weight, not just forwards and backwards, but side to side until you find that optimal stretch for yourself. Then soften through the knees to bring the legs back into parallel. Ragdoll style, leading with the back of your ribs. Peel up. We're going to find a standing hand to big toe D position. You can use your fingertips to make a bind, or you could use a strap. So think knee to nose on the right. Maybe taking your middle index finger and thumb, taking a big toe lock on the lead leg, and then extending the leg out into an A-line stretch and just pausing here. Maybe you relaxing the arm at your side. Maybe you've got your hand on your hip. Maybe you're just opening up into T. And if you do need to bring yourself against a wall or maybe a piece of furniture, feel comfortable to do so. Then relax that hold in the big toe. Shake the legs out. Let's rinse and repeat on side 2. Keep that strap handy if you know you need it on the second side. We're going to find a standing hand to big toe D position. So just using the core for the first one. Standing up nice and tall in your modified mountain. Maybe feet just inside of hip width distance apart. You're going to begin tugging on that little piece of string through your belly button to begin raising up the left leg. Just raising up as high as you're comfortable. Pause here. Really use that pull up from the pubis towards the belly button line. Then maybe begin to bend the knee, hugging the knee in towards your chest, and see if you can come into a standing happy baby by reaching for the undercarriage of your foot the whole time, keeping your balance, and just trying to tuck that foot in towards your armpit. Use this setup to ready yourself for a figure 4 chair. So start to bring the foot in towards the body line. Starting to bend on your grounding leg. Bump the weight back into your bum and your heel. as you find your little figure 4 seat. The whole time, you're keeping your eye trained on a focal point, a drishti, on the wall in front of you. See if you can transition into a tree line from here, holding a half lotus. So you're tucking that heel in closer towards the opposite hip bone, and you're just relaxing the arms at your side. If you find this half lotus position is too much, just bring it into a traditional tree, maybe just bending the left leg and placing the sole of the foot either low on the floor or just off the floor, maybe underneath your knee line. So find what works for you. The whole time the body is steady, arms are relaxed, almost in a Shavasana-like position at your side. And then use this frame to ready yourself for a warrior 1. So step back, angle in your back foot at 45, float the hands overhead, and then maybe start to wiggle walk your lead leg forward a little bit and drop down a little bit lower through the pelvis. Take your warrior 1 stance as wide or as narrow as you need to so that it's optimally set up for your pyramid. Start to straighten up the lead leg, start to fold forward. And then once you've connected your fingertips to the mat, to your lead shin, or to your hips, you can change the angle on the back leg, maybe stepping it in narrower if you need to find your pyramid. Maybe you want to sway the weight back and forth and ready yourself gently for your pyramid. And then when you're ready, you're going to hold that pyramid stretch, Prasvottanasana, looking for that delicious stretch up both legs. Pause here. Look at the current setup of your legs and think about how you're going to use this setup to ready yourself for a cross ankle forward fold. So maybe opening up the hands a little bit wider, doing the prep work so that you're ready. And then as you start to transfer the weight from the back leg to the front leg, cross the back leg over the front and just take a moment here to hold the fold. Start to play with the weight in your feet. So not just rocking forwards and backwards, but also maybe subtly playing with the side to side shift. And see how you can distribute that body weight so that you're getting the optimal stretch of both legs. Whole time holding your modified forward fold, Uttanasana. When you're ready, you're going to uncross the legs, coming back into a parallel stance. Leading with the back of your ribs, you're going to restack and realign. So as you come up, think knees stacking over ankles, hips over knees, shoulders over hips, head center aligned. We're coming into a hand to big toe A stretch. Grab your strap now if you need it. You're going to think knee to nose on the left. You're going to take your middle index finger and thumb if you can, and give me a little Padangusthasana big toe lock. And when you're ready, extend the left leg out in front of you and just come to stillness here. Right arm, anchoring arm maybe at your side, maybe on your hip, or maybe you've opened up into T, maybe you're leaning your fingertips into a piece of furniture, or maybe you're standing, passing by a family member. That's handy. Maybe one of your pets. All right, bring it back to a standing frame when you're ready, and then just take a little step back so that you've got a little room on your mat, and bring it down to the knees before you find your way, preferably into thunderbolt, so a kneeling position with the knees together, the feet together, sitting back. If this is not working for you, keep a high kneel or open up the knees a little bit wider, take a block or a pillow, feed it through, and use it as a little stool to take a seat on the mat. Allow for a comfortable neutral spine position as you tuck into Vajrasana. And then begin to circle the arms, tracing big circles through the arms. We're going to use a forward sweep today. Just give yourself a few lazy circles here. Try to forge the longest line that you can from the shoulder area towards the fingertips, and work in big sweeping motions, inhaling for half, exhaling for half. Ending with both arms overhead. You're going to bend at the elbow, coming into a cactus-like frame. And then inhale to float back up, maybe stacking one hand in front of the other, and you're going to play with that movement. Bending into cactus, then floating overhead, every time crossing the opposite palm in front. As you think of making that cactus frame, you stop with the elbows at about shoulder height, and you give me an active press through your elbow points as if you were working with resistance, trying to push something down into the mat. End in your cactus frame, and you just try to softly float the two elbows closer together along the midline as if you were drawing the two shoulder blades together, and hold here. Getting a beautiful opening through your chest center, and just pause. Holding neutral spine the whole time, but keeping your belly button softly pulled into center. Then bring the elbows back into neutral. Float both hands overhead. Bend the right elbow, place the palm between the two shoulders, reach with the left fingertips for your right elbow and just pull it in towards the center, getting a nice little tricep stretch. We're going to try to hold this tricep stretch as we get ready for a modified child, either keeping your narrow thunderbolt stance, or maybe you want to open up the knees and have a little bit more room to work with, so it's your choice. I'm going to go for the narrow stance, try to get a little bit of compression into the lower belly. You're going to fold forward, trying to tap your forehead to the mat, the whole time holding that tricep stretch. And if you need to open up the knees a little bit wider, you're going to tap your whole frame to the mat, coming into a modified child. If you need to, you can place a block or a pillow on the floor in front of you. Then peel back up. We're going to find our way into a camel frame from here. Bumping the hips slightly forward, trying to keep that narrow stance if you can, so the knees and the feet are still sandwiched together along the midline of the body. Then bring your back line into neutral and take a little lunge step forward. As you lunge step forward, keep the right arm where it is, but try to take an underhand bind with the left arm. Taking a little bear grip between the two hands, so one hand pulling up and the other hand pulling down. If you need to, you could maybe use a strap to forge that connection between the two hands. Holding your low lunge. And then readying the body from here for a little Eve stretch. So holding the low lunge, you're going to open up, unravel the arms, open up the arms into T. Think of your arms as being the wings of an aeroplane. Start to dip your wing on the right. Pause here. And then maybe just arc and frame with the top arm. Come back to center. Let's try that on the other side. Dip your wing to the left. Arc and frame with the other arm, holding that whole low lunge the whole time. Breathe back to center. Relax the hands to the floor. Step back into your original thunderbolt position. Knees together, feet together, sitting back. Take a moment to just relax the hands on your lap. Find that natural S-curve in the body as you prepare and ready the body for those arm stretches on the left. So when you're ready, start to trace big circles with the arms. We're still playing with a forward stroke here. Big lazy circles, maybe inhaling for half of your circle, exhaling for the other half. Stopping in the overhead position, stacking one palm in front of the other, bend through the elbows, coming down into a cactus line, stopping with the elbows in line with your shoulders, and then start to play with that movement. Every time you bring the hands overhead, you stack the opposite palm in front. Give yourself a few dynamic rounds here. The whole time holding a neutral spine position. using active elbows as you come down. And in the overhead position, bend the left elbow, place the palm between the two shoulder blades, and then use the right fingertips to draw the left elbow closer towards the midline so that you can feel more of a stretch, more work happening in the left arm and shoulder area. Try to keep this hug as you come into child. Knees either staying narrow or you can take them wide if you need to. Try to give me a forward fold as slowly as you need to come into your modified child, Balasana, tapping your forehead and your whole frame to the mat and just holding here. Then bleed back up, still holding your same tricep stretch, the preparation for a little Gomukhasana modification. Then come into a high kneel, narrow camel, so bump the hips forward over your knees, taking a slight curve to the spine. Before relaxing back into neutral and then finding your little lunge step forward on the left, still keeping your tricep stretch. Once you've settled into the low lunge, Anyanya Asana, modified crescent lunge, you're going to bring the right arm underneath you and try to forge a big grip between the two hands. Then keeping the low lunge, open up the arms into a T-frame. Find your little aeroplane wings. Dip your wing on the left. Maybe looking over those fingertips and then just arc and frame on the other arm so that you're opening up beautifully through the ribs on the right side of the body. Then find your way back to aeroplane. Dip your wing on the right. Look at your fingertips that you've just dipped and then arc and frame. Bleed your way gently back to center. Drop your hands to the mat and then pick a seat of your choice to end off your practice for today. I'm going to find my way back into Thunderbolt and we're going to play with some alternate nostril breathing. I'm just going to angle my body in slightly. You're going to keep your left hand relaxed on your lap. You're going to take your right hand, middle and index finger, either connecting to the third eye, or you can tuck the two fingers in. With your thumb, you're going to control the opening and the closing of your right nostril. With your ring finger, you're going to control the opening and the closing of your left nostril as we start to play with Anulum Vilum, alternate nostril breathing. So find the position that works for you. I'm going to place my hands on the third eye. Close my eyes, take the focus in. Take a big breath in through the right nostril. Close the right nostril, take a big breath in through the left. Then close the left nostril, open the right, and exhale. Then take your next inhale through the right nostril, close it, open and exhale lift. Start to find a steady rhythm of your own, inhaling through one nostril before you close it, and exhale through the opposite nostril. First, find your inhalation and your exhalation pattern, maybe playing at a 1 to 2 inhalation to exhalation. And if that feels good, you can add the third portion, which is retention of the breath, if you feel you're ready. So inhaling through one nostril, then closing it, nodding your chin to your chest, effectively retaining your breath, not taking air in or out. Then release the chin lock and exhale through the opposite nostril. Then inhale through the nostril, close it, nod your chin to your chest, retain your breath, Kumbhakasana. Release the chin lock, exhale through the opposite nostril. Now you're playing at a 1 to 2 to 2 inhalation to retention to exhalation ratio. Closing your eyes, taking your focus inward, and just totally syncing yourself to the pattern of your breath. And you can start to experiment trying to lengthen your inhalation and your exhalation cycle. So maybe starting at a 3 to 6 to 6, Building that up, maybe 4 to 8 to 8. That feels good. Try 5 to 10 to 10. Or maybe even 6 to 12 to 12. But try not to strain on either the retention or the exhalation portion of your exercise. Find the rhythm that works for you today. Taking your focus totally inward, enjoying the sensation of the breath as you play with it. Every time you inhale through the right nostril, think of connecting to the male energy system in your body, your Pingala, your sun energy. Every time you inhale through the left nostril, connect to the feminine energy system in your body, your Ida, your moon breath. Try to come to a beautiful, harmonious yin-yang balance between those two energy systems. Preparing yourself, readying yourself for whatever is coming. Make this your last round of Anulom Vilom, alternate nostril breathing. When you have completed your last round, you can just relax both hands to your lap and just take a couple of recovery breaths. Maybe you're doing palms down, maybe you're doing palms up. Holding neutral spine, eyes are still closed, focus is still inward facing. Think of the readying work that you did. You are now ready to face the remainder of your day. Bring your hands together in gratitude to end of your practice. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me today. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time, keep it light.